Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Strong and Capable podcast. My name is Brigette Heller. I'm your host, and I have the wonderful, very talented Miss Cody Sanders on today. You want to say hey, Cody?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be on your show.
Thanks for being here. Cody is the co-founder of Mixhers, and if you haven't heard of Mixhers, well, I haven't been talking about it enough as part of the problem, but you need to go check them out. It's my new favorite company in the whole world, which is why, of course, they needed to be on the podcast. And Cody is a holistic health practitioner. And as I mentioned, co-founder of Mixhers. Cody, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what got you on this journey?
Oh, I'd love to. And thank you for saying that Mixhers is one of your favorite companies, because we obviously love it. And we're just so excited to have fun people like you that are using it and sharing, our message and what we're out there trying to do. So yes, my name is Cody Sanders. And like you already said, I'm a holistic health practitioner, and I'm also a functional nutritionist. And what that means is that I use nutrition to help heal disease from a root cause approach. And so when I've worked with my practice, I've owned a practice for we're coming on 26 years now. And I specialize in women's hormonal health. And I would work with doctors that would see a patient and tell them what the problem was. And then the doctors would send them on to me, and I would show the how. This is how we're going to now deal with this. So whether it was with nutrition or with supplementation or with lifestyle strategies, all of that. And so that's what I've been doing and what my passion has been for so many years. And then just recently we opened our company Mixhers. It's only 2 years old. And so I actually have closed down my practice, and I'm doing this full time and out there just trying to spread the word that women that are suffering with terrible symptoms that are so debilitating don't need to suffer anymore just because they're girls, and helping them to understand more about their, hormonal fluctuations that happen throughout the month, and how we can eliminate symptoms, because symptoms are just simply our body's way of trying to tell us that we need a little extra TLC. And when we can give our body that extra TLC through nutritional therapy, those symptoms just go away. And it's so wonderful, right? We can just feel good every single day of the month, no matter what day it is.
Yes, and I can give testament to this because I was doing Hertime for months, like 2 months straight, didn't miss a day. And then I ran out. I was like, oh crap, I need to order it. So off for 2 weeks. My face had a little meltdown, like a little tantrum when I got off. I was like, what's happening? But I got so accustomed to feeling good. Like you said, looking good, feeling good. I didn't even realize how I had been before doing it.
It's so true. Sometimes we don't realize how crappy we feel until we start feeling good. And then exactly what you just said, I hear this from so many women that it's like they are taking the supplements that Mixhers makes, because Hertime is one of them, which is our hormone balance supplement. It's like our OG supplement for Mixhers, and it's for every girl, no matter what age or stage of life you're in. But they will, they're feeling great, and then they'll kind of miss a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I didn't realize it was helping me with my skin or with my moods or, with cramping and headaches and, all of the things, because there's over 100 symptoms that are associated with periods or hormonal imbalance. And so I think so many times we don't realize that actually giving our bodies the nutrition it needs can actually quiet those symptoms down for good.
Yes. Yeah. And I am a big believer in this. So my son has celiac disease, and I cannot tell you, he's 17, so 15 years ago celiac disease was still not that well known. It wasn't trendy or cool to be gluten-free in any way, so it was quite the journey. And we had so many doctors. I remember when he was little and sick all the time, the doctors say, just give him Triamedic, just give him Triamedic. And then later that was shown that was horrible for kids. There was a whole situation there. It was recalled. But I remember I'm passionate about, as we talked about before starting the podcast, transformation, and what is the best transformation? What is the way we can live our best life, our healthiest life in every aspect? So I didn't feel comfortable just throwing medicine at it. And like you said, healing from the root is really where we need to get. We need to see what these are symptoms. They're telling us something. What does our body actually need? So I love, love, love that is your approach.
Thank you. And what a good mom you are to have those, instincts and follow through with them, because it is so hard. I feel so, this is one of the things when I was in practice, I just wanted to empower everyone, but especially those mamas that, are having those instincts and they're telling, there's that message that's being given to them that this isn't probably the best thing for my child. But so many times they would question whether it was the best approach, and they would just be kind of gaslighted a little bit. And so it's so
Mhm.
frustrating. And when we just medicate everything, we're just basically putting a band-aid on the symptoms. We're not doing anything to, help heal the root cause, like we keep saying. And that those symptoms are just going to get louder and louder and worse and worse and worse. So yeah, I love that you listened to your gut and that you did the things that you needed to do in order to help your son feel better.
Yeah. So let's talk about that though. How do you tune in? How do because a lot of times, as I mentioned, I had the acne. I didn't even realize this was something my body was telling me something. So how do we tune in to our body? How do we transform our health? We've got you here. You're the expert. How do we do this?
Awesome. I know. Well, the thing is when you are seeing something that's so just in front of your face, like having acne on your face just is like a bright red light, telling you that there is something that's going on. And, the way that everybody has been kind of approaching acne is how can we fix it from the outside? But what we don't realize is that acne, like so many other things we've already discussed, is just a symptom. It's just our body telling us that it's actually not the skin, but it's most likely the liver or the kidneys or the gut that needs some love and attention. And so I really think it is just learning the language maybe of symptoms, which just takes a little bit of educating yourself, listening to podcasts like this. We also have a podcast that we send out every week called the It's Hertime podcast, where I go into all kinds of things about understanding our hormonal health. But just also then just kind of practicing checking in. And how does it feel? Does it feel like whatever is your approach is it sitting right? Does it feel like it's right? Does it feel like it's working? And just practicing that, because I think we've practiced so many times ignoring those little, nudges or instincts that we've kind of forgotten how powerful they can be. And the more we practice, the better we will be able to be at interpreting what it is that our body is trying to teach us or to tell us.
I love that because we talk about mindset on the podcast all the time and tuning into your thoughts. So the idea of practicing, tune into your body, do the check. What's going on? How am I feeling? What's happening here? I really love that.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many clients when I start asking questions. It's different than maybe what they would get in a doctor's office, but I will
Mhm.
start asking them, for instance, as an example is, tell me, are there certain foods that you are craving currently? And I've had clients that would say, I'm craving artichokes. I'm craving artichokes so much. And I was like, okay. And when is it that you feel like you're mostly, when is the time that you're mostly craving artichokes? They're like, well, I suffer with migraine headaches all the time. And I'm thinking, okay, it can tell me as a practitioner so many things, but it can also tell you if you understand what it means. But the magnesium that's in an artichoke is actually, it's like medicine for migraines. It helps to not only, get rid of migraine, but it also helps to prevent. So if you can get the nutrients that are in that beautiful, it's my favorite food on the earth, artichokes. But if you can get the nutrients that are in that into your body, then your body will just be like, thank you very much. And then it stops, sending you the symptom trying to tell you that it's needing the nutrients that are in the artichoke. So yeah, just things like that. Listen to cravings, just kind of notice what's going on with your skin, your thoughts, things like that, your sleep, all of those things.
I like listening to cravings because you can always Google it. I remember one time Googling why do women like what's about chocolate? What's up with that? Why do we crave
Yes.
chocolate? And it's magnesium as well, right?
You're right. That's why I'm
Yeah.
always like, girls, that week before you start your period and you're craving the chocolate, don't deny yourself. Actually enjoy, but good quality, like good quality dark chocolate, not all this stuff that's just fake, and tons of sugar. That's not going to make you feel good. But yeah, it's telling you need some magnesium because everyone is deficient in magnesium. I mean, we all are. It's because we live in such a high stressed society, and stress just burns through that magnesium like nothing else. And so if you're not taking something that is also, supplementing that magnesium level, then start doing that today because you'll feel a lot better. You'll be surprised at how much of a difference that makes in so many areas of your life, whether it's sleep or your energy, your moods, all of that.
Mm, I like it. That's fun. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about women's health. Um, and education. And you already mentioned you have the podcast. And one of the things I love about your company, I was just on the website before the interview, looking over things. And I mean, I'm a brand ambassador, but I was looking over it again
Yeah.
just because we're doing this interview. But you have a lot of information, about your cycle or different, how your body works or how hormones work. And I really love that. I remember my fourth pregnancy was a miscarriage. And that's it was a pregnancy that started all of Mixhers. So we could talk about that, but it was a
Awesome.
miscarriage. And I remember I did a natural way of helping my body, remove what it needed to remove, and it didn't work. And so then I bled for 6 weeks, huge, massive clots, and was almost passing out. And it was so scary. And
Yeah.
part of why it got so bad to where I was passing out and whatnot is because I didn't know. We don't talk about these things enough for someone to be like, Brigette, that's not normal. This is not
Right.
normal, And so
Oh,
then I
you
had to go
poor
in and
thing.
have a surgery operation. And it was just like bad news on bad news on bad news. It was, a terrible time, but it didn't have to be as terrible if I had been able to talk about it to women, if women had been more open to speaking about it, which I feel like we've come a long way since then. My kids are older, so I'm older.
Yeah.
But we've come a long ways, but also there's just so much misinformation out there. So let's
So
talk a
true.
little bit about the Mixhers mission and the story, with you and Jess and what you're doing to help educate.
Yeah. I love that because yes, that is my passion, is the education, because you're right. We actually have come a long way, but I am shocked all the time when I'm having conversations with women that they've never even heard of some of the things that I'm mentioning. And I'm thinking, wait, everybody should know this. This is all the stuff we should have learned when we were going through our maturation clinics and, things like that. So yes, I can totally tell you how Mixhers began. And it all began about 7 years ago. In my practice, I was noticing as I was talking with women, especially, that we could almost backtrack and figure out that most of the issues that they were coming to see me about could be stemmed back to their period. Whether they were just beginning their period or whether they were in menopause, we could always go back and figure out that there was something associated with their period. And so I started looking for solutions that were out there to help women who were telling me that they were missing, a week of work, girls that weren't able to participate in school or their sports or whatever. They were missing out on life and all the things that are important to us. And that's just not okay with me. Like, I'm not okay with that. Women are doing so much in the world. We need to feel like we're capable every single day. And so then I hit 40, and all of a sudden I started having wackadoodle periods, like where I had pretty normal, healthy periods. And then all of a sudden my body just decided that it was going to be Niagara Falls. And so it was like, I could hardly function either. And I had this newfound like sympathy for the women that I was working with. And I was, feeling like, yes, I get exactly what you're saying. And I kept doing the research, and there was nothing out there that addressed the actual cause of these symptoms that we were all suffering with. And, I went to my doctor, who I love, and I love doctors. They do so much, but there's not a lot of education on their end. They are more symptom-based approach, right? And so the options that I was given was, well, you are now in your 40s. Let's go ahead and go with a hysterectomy, and I'm thinking, well, no, because I want to have my period for as long as I possibly can, because I know the long-term health benefits that come from having that and delaying menopause as long as possible, right? And the other option was birth control to kind of suppress. But basically, when you get on birth control, it is actually inducing menopause. So that's the thing. That's we could have a whole episode talking about birth control too, but I won't get into that. But the options that I was being given, I wasn't okay with. So that's when I went to work. I just started, like, this was my whole focus. And I started realizing that the number one root cause of hormonal imbalance, which is what's causing all of these symptoms, is nutritional deficiency. So then I started looking into what nutrients is it that we need that we're not getting in our modern day diets, which is a lot actually, because our modern day diets are very deficient. And so I started looking in all of these I have some background in Chinese traditional Chinese medicine. And so I was looking at all these different crazy herbs and all of these roots and all of these things and testing them out and doing, having my clients be guinea pigs, those that were, willing to do that, and documenting it and trying to test it, and finally found the formula that was the most effective. And it is what we call Hertime now. Now, the way that Jess and I got involved is that she was a client of mine for a long time, and she was living in Russia, and she had just had twin girls. And like me, she had normal periods, nothing, out of the ordinary. And then after her twins, she started experiencing crazy mood swings, very heavy bleeding. And like you, she was noticing that her skin was just constantly breaking out to the point where she was embarrassed and having to, almost like hide her face with her hair and all the makeup and all the things that we do to kind of disguise that. So she contacted me and she's like, I have tried everything. I've talked to every doctor. I've taken all the antibiotics. I've taken everything I can possibly do, and nothing seems to be helping. Do you know of anything? And I was like, actually, do you want to try something that I have? And we joke about this all the time. She always thinks that I'm some hippy dippy witch that's like in there in my kitchen, which is kind of true. But I said, give it a go. It's not going to hurt you. Let's just see if it works, but let's use it and be consistent with it. Give your body time to be able to take in those nutrients and put them to work. And so I said, give me 3 months and let's see. Well, after the first month of using Hertime, all of a sudden, the first thing she noticed was that her mood started to stabilize and her acne cleared. And she's like, wait, okay, I don't know if I believe that it's this stuff, that I'm taking, but I'm going to keep going. And then she started noticing, even better and better, normal, no symptoms, better periods. And so she just said after, the 3 months was up, it's like, what is this stuff? And we need to get this into the hands of every girl, because she is a talker. So she was talking to all the girls in her life and realizing so many women were looking for solutions too. So that's how we came together and created Mixhers, and then, improved the formula and, made it actually so it could taste good in a drink. Cause honestly, the ingredients did not taste good. We're always trying to improve them, but they're very effective. And so, so that's how we started. But that was because we had our own personal problems. We say we're the original girls that were in need. And so now we've helped, thousands and thousands of women feel better.
I love that. And picking up on, okay, so how does a story apply to the audience? And obviously you should check out the company, but besides all that, it's putting good things in your body. I have a brother-in-law who's a doctor, and he always talks about our diet and how deficient it is. And he says, everyone should be on vitamins, everyone. He said, there's no way that you can get all the nutrients you need in today's diet. It's just
so true. I love your brother-in-law for that. Your brother or your brother-in-law?
Brother-in-law. Yeah.
Brother-in-law. Go him. I love that. Doctors that are empowering patients to, use nutrition. I love that.
Yes. So, get yourself on a multivitamin if you want to transform your health. Let's start there, if anywhere.
Yes.
And you said consistency, consistency. 2 days of something is not going to change your body or your hormones or anything. Nothing's going to shift in 2 days. Not really, not long term. And so consistently seeking that. I always tell my husband, because we try and be healthy, and then we fall off the wagon, and then we try,
sure,
it's a little seesaw, but because of our diet, people say, I don't know how you live gluten-free. It's so expensive. And I would say, well, you can live healthy or you can live in junk land. You can't do both. Both is expensive. So when you're transforming your food and your health, you kind of have to choose what camp you're going to be in and stay in it for a while and see how it goes for you.
Yes. I think we're a quick fix society. It's really hard for us to understand. I think we understand it, but it's like hard to put into practice, that consistency. But you're right. Anytime you're wanting any kind of transformation, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it is, it's that consistency, that day after day of, making the effort. Doesn't need to be perfect. Perfection is never actually attainable, but that consistent effort really is what it is that takes, or makes the biggest difference for us. And so we can't forget that.
We can't forget it. And when it gets hard, you got to keep going, don't give up. I was with my mentor just today. We're talking about some mindset stuff, and she said back to me all the stuff I teach everyone else. And I was so frustrated because I was like, I know this stuff, I teach it. And she said, yeah, but you have to decide to step fully in the camp on this one particular thing. And I think with our health and transforming it, it's so much deciding this is where I stand fully and living in it. And you guys are making it easy. So that's pretty cool. Is,
That's
find
our goal.
companies. Yeah. Find companies like Mixhers that make it easy. My husband's been doing a lot of meal prep stuff because it makes it easy. You want to transform yourself, find the things that work for you.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. It should feel easy because you want it to feel like it's something that's doable, that you can actually sustain, those efforts. It's when we try to go too extreme one way or the other that there's no way, you're going to be able to sustain it. So I always talk about the difference between willpower and empowerment. And it all comes down to, establishing those healthy habits, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, but making it so it's like these easy steps. So it takes practice to make it feel easy and natural, but the more you can do on the front end and try to make it as, as easy as possible, whether it's with meal prepping, which I love that your husband does that, or if it's just easy enough to like find some type of supplements that you can literally just keep in your purse or keep on, your body, that, wherever it is that you're going throughout the day, it's just on hand. So you don't have to think about it. It just makes it easy. And that's what, Mixhers tries to do. We try to make health easy for all women.
And fun. Find people who are on the same journey that you can cheer each other on and be excited with, and yeah, have fun with it. It shouldn't be drudgery.
No, because you're not going to stick with that, because who wants to live that kind of life, right? That's just miserable.
Seriously.
Right. So, and it's like with you with gluten-free, like I do get a lot of people that I've worked with that I've recommended going gluten-free, and they're not even celiac, right? Just because it is such an inflammatory type of food. And so, but I'm always like, it sounds like it's hard, but honestly, it's actually probably easier than you think. If you can just focus on eating mostly like fruits and vegetables and protein, you can go to any restaurant, you can go to any family party, whatever it is, situation. And most of the time you'll be able to stay gluten-free. Now, I get with celiac, that's a little more intense because you have to make sure that nothing has contaminated, any of the food. So I get that. But yeah, I just feel like, I think sometimes we build things up a little bit bigger in our head and we think it's going to be more difficult than it actually is. But if we can just start putting one foot in front of the other, often it just kind of will fall into place. And if we're motivated and if we have a big enough why of why we're doing the things that we're trying to do, then we will be more able to stay consistent and be able to love and enjoy that transformation that comes with that consistency.
Yeah. And I just had that thought. You said one foot in front of the other. Transformation is always one of those things that, like you said, we make a bigger deal of it than it is. We get ourselves all amped up and scared. And then we're brave. We're super brave. And we take one foot in front of the other, excuse me. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're all guilty of this because honestly, being in the health and wellness industry, I have tried everything. And what I personally have learned is when it comes to like trying to transform my health, if I can avoid taking the fear-based approach, I am always much more successful. So if it's something that feels like this is huge and this is going to be crazy, and I'm having to sit my family down and warn them, I'm about ready to do something, hold on tight, don't leave me. It's never going to be sustainable. But if instead I can change it into like, this is going to be fun, And so again, this kind of goes to the mindset, is just trying to like approach any kind of transformation that you're trying to make. And instead of taking it as a fear-based, approach, take it as like, this is so fun. I can't wait. This is going to be great. And sometimes you do have to kind of fake it till you make it when you're trying to convince yourself that, not eating ice cream every single night is super fun, but you can figure out like new ways that you can have treats that, feel empowering. And that's the difference between that willpowered and empowering is that you're not just having to struggle and, hold on tight through, through the journey. Instead, you're able to like mindfully make decisions that help to support whatever it is that your goals are.
Yep. And become the person you want to become, because anyone listening who has dreams or goals, I was talking about this on my social media the other day, you couldn't do them right now in your current state. If you could, you would have already done it. So if you have dreams and goals, you have to transform yourself in some way to reach those dreams and goals. And it is little step at a time. So it's actually just exciting, because for every change you're making in your health, it's getting you closer to the person that you need to be to do the things you want to do. And that's exciting.
It's so exciting. And I personally feel that's why we're here. It's about growing, it's about progressing. And so that part can be really fun. It's not something we should ever be afraid of, because whenever I have felt like I have been able to make a positive change in my life, I can look back and think in a positive way, like, wow, that was so worth it.
Mhm.
Haven't you ever had that where you're like, that was so worth it? Yeah, that felt hard sometimes, but so worth it because I'm so much happier. I'm in such a better place now than I was before, when I hadn't thought that this was maybe a possibility yet. So
Yeah, and a challenge is good. Challenge is
yeah,
good. It's not a problem. It's just a challenge, and I mean, that can be overcome. So,
absolutely.
so one of your interests and passions is talking about body composition and cycles. Tell me a little bit more about that, and what is that?
Oh, I love this, because this is something that I feel like, speaking of empowering, especially for women, is that I often will, when I'm speaking in front of a group, I will throw out this fact that I think is so not known, is the fact that it wasn't until 2005 that women were included in health and fitness studies, right? Which is so crazy to me, because I'm older, so 2005 seems like that was just yesterday. Some of your
Yeah.
audience maybe wasn't even born by then. I don't know, but so, but it's crazy. And what that means basically, and why I share that, is because so many of the women that I've worked with, they have followed all of these different trends, whether it's with their diet or with their exercise strategies. And they've worked for like a time, but then almost like sabotage them later, down the road. And they would feel so frustrated, because they'd feel like maybe they weren't doing it perfectly. So they just needed to keep trying. And it was like this vicious cycle where it just kept not working, and it kept just getting worse and worse for them. And so it wasn't until about 2010 that more studies started to be done, where they started to now they were including women in these health and wellness studies and fitness studies. But now we were understanding what is called the infradian rhythm. Now, we've heard of like our circadian rhythm, right? Which is our wake and sleep cycle. And everybody, men, women, both have a circadian rhythm, and it has a huge effect on how we feel, and it has a huge effect on our health. But women, as women, especially during our fertile years, we have a different type of cycle that's called our infradian rhythm. And basically what it does is, it's just basically a study of what's going on hormonally with us throughout the month. We have 4 different phases of our month, even though the menstrual, phase is the one that we're most familiar with, because that's, we have the biggest sign, we're bleeding during that time. So we know when the menstrual phase is, but there's also the follicular phase, the ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase. And what I love to teach women is that if you can learn more about what's happening with your body during these different phases of your life, you can actually tap into each of the phases' superpowers. And you're going to want to change up how you are exercising, your approach to exercise, your approach to eating, and your approach to lifestyle. And if you do so, you'll be able to actually support your body and able to have better fat loss, have better energy, all of that, better muscle gain. Instead of working against your body, you start to then feel like you're working with your body. And at first, it's really scary for women because I think we've been really used to like the go big, go home every single day of the month. And it's like, if we want to change our body composition, we got to work out harder, we got to eat less, right? But we can't sustain that for very long, because our body and our hormones will definitely, step in and try and let us know that they're not happy with that plan at all. So instead, what we can learn to do is, like I said, kind of tune into what's happening hormonally. So for instance, when we're in our menstrual phase, that's when there's 3 main hormones that we're going to talk, sex hormones, that progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. I think everybody's familiar with those. All 3 of those sex hormones just drop. They're at their lowest point. They just plummet, right? And you just have this little, week of your life where those are just sitting low, right? And when we are on our period, how many of you have tried to push yourself into like going for a run, or, and then you just want to do nothing but take a nap, right? And then you think, man, what's my problem? I'm so lazy. Like, why can't I just push myself through this? Well, it's because your body doesn't want you to do that. And that's because those 3 hormones are already so low. So your body's not going to support you in that at all. And in fact, if you try to do a hard workout and you try to eat less, your body is going to think you are in danger, and it's going to, trigger that fight or flight. And every single thing that you eat is going to get stored as fat because your body thinks it's doing you a favor by storing, all that fuel for the long haul, because it's going to help you survive whatever it is that you're dealing with right now. So, we want to just keep it easy. Yoga, strength training is great any time of the month. That's great. Long walks, hikes, things that are a little more relaxing, but listen to your body. Even just sitting on the couch might be more beneficial for your body composition than trying to push through a hard workout. But then once we start going throughout the month, like in the follicular phase, which is right after the menstrual phase, you'll start feeling those hormones start building again. And this is the time where it is great time for you to do those HIIT workouts and high fitness and all the, the long runs and all of that stuff. And push yourself. That's when it's a great time, especially as we start getting towards the end of that follicular phase and really get into that ovulatory phase. Ovulatory phase is the shortest part of our month, but it is the time where we've got all the energy. We are feeling, ready to go, whether it's like sexually, whether it's like workout, whether it's where we want to be, speaking to people and being social, whatever. That is the time of the month where we really are built to do that. Then we start going into the luteal phase, which leads into the menstrual phase, and we start feeling those hormones start to dip a little bit more. So again, these are the times where we want to take that intensity, maybe make it a little less intense, and your body will work with you. And women, when I first started teaching them, they were terrified that if they missed a workout, that day, that everything was going to be lost, everything that they had worked so hard to build up, that everything was just going to be ruined, and that, they were going to just be, fat slobs, or whatever. And so it took some time for them to test it out and to trust me. And they were shocked that the excess weight that they were carrying, the excess fat that they were carrying, just simply I want to say slipped right off their body. Obviously it took some work, but it was not a fight. It wasn't a struggle anymore, which is like, I think what we've been conditioned to think. And it's because we've been exercising and eating like men, and we're not just little men, we're women. We've got our own, unique physiology, our unique chemistry, and we need to learn to work with our bodies and understand, what's going on hormonally so that we can, like I've said, work with our bodies and help our bodies to feel safe and feel ready to go, the way that they're designed to feel.
I love so much about what you just said. I was thinking, tap it really is so much of it understanding, education, like we talked about earlier. And I know you have that on your website because I saw those cycles on the website.
Good.
And then really that intuition and that feminine energy, tapping into it. I have a good friend she's my VA, but she designed my website and all the things. And we were talking one day about this, and even for work, when I do podcast interviews, when I don't, when I do writing, and she says, Brigette, you really need to be aware of those highs and lows, because
I love it.
Right? Because I'm such an intuitive person. She said, I'm seeing some clear patterns for you. Are you seeing some clear patterns for you? And tapping into that and understanding, like you said, maybe during my cycle is the week I pull back and just really sink into education and meditation and writing my outlines that fill me but are more centered and not stressful. So really understanding your workflow even based on that can be very powerful.
That's what I say. Like, it's our superpowers. We have superpowers with every phase of our cycle. And not just like I've talked about with exercise, but with, our creativity. And so, when you're on your menstrual phase, it's almost like, or that luteal phase leading up to your menstrual phase too, it's almost like, that nesting feeling that we instinctually have when we're pregnant, where we just want to organize everything. We just want to get everything ready. That's still in us. And that's the time of the month when it is a great time to start like organizing and maybe content planning for you, and maybe writing the things, because it is the time. But then as you get towards the end of that follicular phase and into your ovulatory phase, that's when maybe you want to get on camera and have the energy to be able to sustain yourself through all of the speaking that you're going to be doing. But I love that you have somebody that understands this and was able to coach you, because I think, again, we talked about instincts. I think we instinctually as women know and have felt these nudges, and we've just pushed them aside because we thought, oh, no, we can't do that. Like, that's not allowed in this society, to like have a week where we just chill and we just take it easy. Right. We just, it hurts
That's
us.
Lazy.
We think it's going to hurt us. It's lazy, and we wouldn't want to be lazy, but no, girls, listen to your bodies and learn about these cycles and tap into the powers that each of these cycles bring. And you will be amazed at what you're able to accomplish. You will be able to 10 times, create the amounts of things that you think you need to be doing all the time. You'll be able to do it so much more efficiently, so much easier, and with just with ease. And how nice is that, right? We want to be able to live our life with ease.
I love, love, love that. Okay, Cody, so help everybody know how to find all the things, how to get in touch with you guys and the team, and how to learn, where do they go to learn more of this? Because I am sure after this conversation, they will want to.
Oh, that's so kind. And I hope you do, because I do feel like it's fun stuff to talk about. And you can find me over at Mixhers, then it's Mixhers, on our website, on our social media. We're on Instagram with Mixhers. And we are all about community. We are always trying to interact, and we create events, and we, do everything we can. Plus we have this podcast that we try to put out so that we can, answer the questions that are constantly coming into us through our DMs on social media. It's Hertime podcast. So you can find me there. Personally, you can reach or find me on Instagram. It's Soul Happy and Healthy. And my name is Cody Sanders. You can go on there. A lot of times people will have better luck if they actually have a question and need to DM me. They can DM me on that personal Instagram account and usually get me better that way. But yeah, I would love for you, whoever is listening, come on, join this cause. Let's have this conversation and have fun together. Just feeling like empowered women out there, just doing everything that we can, to live our best lives.
And their social media is fun. It always makes me smile. A lot of big smiles, a lot of dancing. I think I want to work there. If I lived in Utah, that's where I would want to be, like, applying.
It is fun. We actually do get work done, but people always ask, like, do you actually work? And we're like, oh yeah, no, we work, but we believe that in order to be able to get the kind of work that we want to get done, we actually need to make it fun too. So
yeah, and you have to have that high energy because
Yeah.
you got things to do.
We got lots to do. So I love it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Cody, for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Brigette.